Hi, Becky.
Hi, Linda. Hey, would you mind if I made you the host?
No, doesn't Alan usually do this?
Yeah, but you can make him the host, but I
but I
had to
mean-
sponsor it because Grace is gone to a different committee.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, yeah, okay. That's why Alan isn't doing it. Yeah, sure. Of course. You can make me the host.
Okay.
Yeah,
And I can make Michael, whatever you guys want.
I'm fine.
Okay. Hi, Michael. I'm doing my running to cook dinner ditches guys move.
Okay, where's that? Hey, Linda, I like your
Well,
sweatshirt.
Oh, hey,
Oh my
look at that.
goodness. I should have mine on. Mine's blue.
Pretty fancy.
It's a CPC attire.
Yes. Yeah,
Very
well,
good.
you can go now. You can go have supper, Becky.
Yeah,
Well, it'll be a little while, but we'll start cooking. Bye. Good night, guys.
Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you.
Now, wait a minute, Mike. I have to do this carefully.
Oh, you're gonna make me a host?
I made Linda the host, so I just leave. I have to be really careful.
Oh, good, it worked.
Okay, we're here.
Great. Cool. That sounds good. So Linda, I think Elaine might not be coming because she's traveling.
Oh,
And she warned me like last week, she said, you might have to take minutes, but Alan told me I might have to start the meeting because he might be late. So would you consider doing minutes or?
sure, I guess so. I don't like to do it because I do it for my job, you know.
I know, but you shouldn't do it the way you do it for your job. You should like be sparse.
Okay, yeah, yeah, well, I have to train myself to, you know, like, yeah, I'll do it because you're chairing, so.
Yeah.
And,
If Alan shows up, I can take the minutes, but it all depends, but.
okay.
And I told him, actually, it's not on the agenda, but I told him I didn't want to be chair. I would help him a lot, but I didn't want to be chair, co-chair. It's just didn't want to do it. Other things I want to do.
Yeah.
So, which I'm sure you can appreciate.
You know what, the one thing about CPC, at least always, it's really a lot of teamwork.
It seems that way. I mean, I actually, I don't know if I mentioned it to him or during the meeting, but, oh, I wrote to him and Rita when I was bagging out that, you know, like the Concom for years apparently had no chair, right?
Right, correct.
Like
Oh, yeah, many years, yeah. The
I
only,
figured-
we didn't get a chair, I say we because, you know, but they operated on consensus. Penny was the, you know, de facto secretary when things needed to be signed by somebody. However, it wasn't until the pandemic when there was all, you know, all the legal guidance, there needed to be a chair so that if a meeting needed to be, you know, that something needed to happen, there was an official chair to do it.
Right.
In terms of like she could just do, you know, just
Like
that's
sign
the
stuff.
only reason. Yeah, that's the only reason that there started to be a chair again after over a decade without one.
Wow.
You know,
Wow.
like I don't know, like 14 years without a chair.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, the whole time I was there, no chair.
That's so interesting.
Yeah, because it was just, I mean, Penny would open the meeting. And, we tag teamed, really. That's how we did it. I would just say,
Like you do on this committee.
just, we would just, and she'd open the public hearings and close the public hearings and that kind of thing, because somebody has to do that.
Right.
But otherwise, yeah, I mean, she really was the chair, but didn't want to be official. Oh, Rita's here.
Oh, great. Hope she's feeling better.
I hope so too.
How are you?
Hi, Rita.
You're muted. You must have a sore throat.
I'm better. I'm not 100%, but I'm better.
Oh,
You don't
God.
sound 100%.
This has been awful. I've been sick for 2 weeks.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I got a COVID test on Friday, even though I was sure it was a cold. And then, I think it turned into a sinus infection. I just couldn't, like, if I talk too much, I just start coughing. So I have antibiotics, I have inhaler. It's like, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. I think it started with my granddaughter because she had been sick. So I blame her.
Yeah. Well, little
Anyway.
kids always have it.
Yeah. And she's not even in daycare, but she had seen another baby that's in daycare, and they had this RSV, which I'd never heard of before, going around. Some like respiratory or rhino. It's some sort of virus that's very strong and is very contagious.
That you've now experienced.
Yeah. Anyway, it stinks. Really stinks.
Did you
Last
go away?
night, excuse me?
Did you go away last week or something?
We're going away tomorrow. I know. That's
Oh.
why I had to get like every imaginable, like start on the antibiotics early. So yeah, we're flying to Minneapolis in the morning.
Hey,
Keeping my fingers crossed that everything's okay. It's just it's just, we needed to be there. So that's why
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I just
Welcome,
did-
Mateo.
Yeah.
I'm Mateo. I'm Rita.
Hello.
And I'm Michael.
Hello.
We're waiting for the rest of the folks to show up.
Yeah,
Oh.
there's Alan.
Here's Alan.
Oh, hey. So Linda, should I fulfill my promise?
Yes, please, if you would, if you're okay with it.
I'm okay with it.
Okay.
Alan, I'm taking minutes if Elaine doesn't show up.
Oh, great. Thank you, Michael.
Yeah, well, we had a deal. If I had to start the meeting because Alan was late, Linda was taking minutes, but since you showed up.
So it sounds like Elaine's out in what, like Utah or somewhere?
Alan, you're muted.
How's that? Better?
There he is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Great.
All right. I assume my camera's on, is it?
Yep.
Yeah, I guess it is. Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry about that. I didn't know how long I was going to be late. Michael, I just was covering my butt just in case things went longer than I thought they were going to go.
Well, it worked out well.
Mateo, welcome.
Hello.
So we know Elaine isn't coming.
No, so I think we're all here, right?
So is this it? Let's see.
Well.
Who are we missing?
Giselle.
Yeah, so Miriam would have came the last time for Izelle.
Right.
Right.
And yeah, I think that's
Wow.
right. And we have one vacancy.
Yeah. 2, 4. Yeah, that's right. I think we're fine.
A mighty
Okay.
core.
Great.
So should
Alan,
we get,
Alan, you're running, you're on
I was
the
just going
chair.
to say, should we get started?
Yes. you
The
can
first
call the
item
meeting
on the
to order.
agenda is the minutes from last meeting. Is everybody taking a look at them?
Yes.
Does anybody have any changes or?
Nope.
I'll make a motion that we, Linda,
Hang on a second.
Well, I was just gonna say, we want to remind Elaine to record the votes as roll call votes.
Right.
oh, okay.
That's one
I
thing.
just
Yeah.
want to remind her that. do that.
So Linda, that's
Well-
on all Zoom calls that's
Yeah.
supposed to happen?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
So,
Yeah.
so did anybody manage to find, and this is in the minutes, that's why I'm bringing it up here, the minutes from May 5th, May 6th of this year? I can't find any minutes for that meeting.
I think I sent you everything that I had, Ellen. I went through your spreadsheet. I'm
Right,
missing.
but I don't think that was part of it.
Yeah, right. I don't think anyone actually took minutes.
Is that right?
I think that's the case.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
That would explain why, that would explain
Somehow.
why I couldn't find any.
It's a telepathic meeting.
Okay.
I don't- I somehow I don't have anything.
I don't have anything either, so I thought maybe I just screwed up somewhere along the way, but
Well, Linda, if there was a meeting, wouldn't it have been recorded?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Henry Geddes is here.
Oh, for the historical.
Oh,
Okay.
great.
yeah, we can
Great.
look. Somebody can look.
Yeah, so Linda, could you check with Grace?
Yes, yes, I
Yeah,
can do that.
Because
yeah.
then,
And what,
hi, Henry. So then if there was a recording, then maybe we could do minutes from the recording.
Yeah,
what was it, May 2000?
5/6/21.
Okay.
I'm surprised that I don't have anything on my system anywhere.
so anyway, I'm sorry, we got off track of the actual minutes.
Okay, so
Trying to get a little more light in here.
we had a motion, right? And
Can I make a motion to accept the meeting minutes as presented?
so
Did you?
moved.
Second,
Okay, who's taking minutes tonight?
me.
Michael,
Michael, okay,
Yeah.
just to make sure. Good, all right, all in favor?
Farrell, I.
Dick, I.
Scott, I.
Hanson, I guess that's it.
Well, I think Henry officially would abstain. Henry, you're here for Historical Commission, right? You're muted.
You're muted, Henry.
You're muted.
Yep. Hi
There you
there.
go.
How are you?
Hi.
I was just voted in as the new rep from the Historical
Oh.
Commission.
Congratulations.
Oh, great,
Thank you.
great. That's
Thank you.
wonderful.
Yeah, so I gather I need to be approved and probably can't vote just yet.
Right.
to be
So you need to be appointed by the select board, so we could do
Yep.
that at the next select board meeting. Okay, that's great.
When is that, Rita?
Well, there was a meeting last night, so it's 2 weeks.
The
It's
ninth, I think.
tomorrow.
It doesn't matter, I'm just curious on whether,
Yeah,
It's the 9th, I think.
it's the 9th. Yeah, the 9th.
well,
And
welcome prematurely, Henry.
yes,
Good to be here.
Good. So the minutes being approved, the next item on the discussion is a new member at large application from Mateo. So I'd like to start this off by having Mateo tell us a little bit about himself and why he would want to sit on this committee. So take it away.
Thank you. And thank you for the opportunity to speak with you. So I mentioned in my email, my family and I, we've lived in Shutesbury sort of intermittently over the last several years as renters. And we recently sort of finally put down roots here and made the decision that this is where we wanted to be for good, and went through the horrible process of buying our home for the first time, our first time home buying in this spring market in the middle of a pandemic. But we were fortunate that some of the neighbors of the house that or near the house that we were renting were looking to sell and agreed to sell to us. And so we were ecstatic for that reason, but especially to be here in Shutesbury and to raise our kids here and put down roots. And something that I've always sort of valued is public service. And I've always told myself that once I had roots somewhere, that I would be committed to that community however I could. And so I've been just sort of seeking opportunities to get involved wherever I could. So when I saw the opening for an at-large member for the CPC, I thought that it seemed like an excellent opportunity. I mean, it literally had community in its name. So it seemed like an excellent opportunity for me to try to finally really get involved and give something back to Shutesbury. So yeah, and as I mentioned in my email, my background is as an academic. So I do have some background in history and literature and the humanities, but I also sort of prior to my academic life worked quite a bit in the arenas of historical development and preservation and conservation and cultural development and the arts specifically. And so those are all things that I would look to sort of take advantage of in terms of my background, whatever I could do for the CPC. And yeah, that's it.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody
Have
have
you-
any questions?
Yeah. Have you had
Yeah.
a chance to take a look at the webpage for the CPC? And did you have any questions about Community Preservation Act or kind of what
No,
we've
I mean,
done?
I did look at it. I'm from Massachusetts, so and I'm familiar
okay.
with the act and in general, I think I'm pretty comfortable with it. I guess my only question would be about how active the committee is in terms of soliciting and serving as sort of curators for proposals and projects, as opposed to sort of how many projects come forward from the community and are led by the community as opposed to by the committee.
Yeah,
One
good.
one of the
question.
issues that we've been addressing is trying to how to get more community activity with respect to the committee. We have had, I think almost every year, at least one or two proposals. I think I sent out a list of the ones that we've funded. Did you get that?
I did see them. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so that's pretty much what, there've been a couple that were funded that have not been acted on, which we're gonna also have to deal with sometime in the near future. Probably next couple of meetings at some point. But it's a real issue getting people in the community to actually sit down and spend 10 minutes writing up a eligibility proposal just to see whether we could actually do it. So yes, there is a problem.
Is it?
And go
Sorry,
ahead, Mateo.
I was going to say, is it largely a problem of just sort of awareness in terms of the community not knowing about this opportunity, or is it really just, is the barrier to participation really the labor involved with preparing that study, the feasibility application?
From my perspective, I think we've done a fair amount for the committee, bringing the committee to the attention of the townspeople. When we speak at the town meetings, we put stuff up online. There's a web page. It's hard to put your finger on exactly why. It may be that people don't have a good sense of how much work is involved, although the eligibility proposal is a very, very simple thing to do. We kind of stress that in all the stuff we do. The answer to the question is, I really don't know. I'm not sure anybody knows.
Yeah, I guess the one thing I would chime in, just, I think I've been on this for 2-3 years. I can't remember anymore. Anyway, my relatively shorter observation is part of it is that the way we set it up is that a town committee or some part of the town has to have a letter of support for a project, so that it's just not a free-floating, resident who's interested in something. And what I've seen is that people might have ideas, but then the connecting with the committee and going through to get support of the committee and then coming back to the CPC ends up being a little bit of a structural or process barrier. And I think the reasoning behind it is sound, but it just creates a little bit more work. It's a great question, though. Speaks to the fact that you might be a very good fit.
So Michael and I don't always agree on a lot of things, but I think we agree on this one. It's really a difficult issue to put your finger on.
Yeah,
Anybody else have any other questions?
no, I don't think so. So I'd like to nominate Matteo Pangallo. Is that how you pronounce it?
That's
Okay.
correct. Yeah.
As the newest member, as the at-large member for the Community Preservation Committee.
I'll second.
Okay. Is there any discussion?
Very pleased to have someone who's bring interest and background. So thank
Yeah,
you.
it's great.
Anybody else? I second that, by the way. Okay, shall we vote? Hanson, aye.
Farrell, I.
Take care.
And Scott, I.
Well, congratulations. You talked yourself into a position.
Thank you.
So the next
So-
step will be appointment by the select board at
Right.
the next meeting, which is
Right.
November 9th.
So we'd have both Matteo and Henry
Yeah.
for that select
Right.
board meeting.
Rita, would you want Matteo to come?
Yeah, it might not be a bad idea if you're able to come to the select board meeting. I mean, Henry, you're welcome to come too.
Will do.
You're more known entity. I mean, people, it'd be great for Matteo to introduce himself.
Thank you.
We
Hey,
try to
Alan,
get it on the agenda earlier on in the meeting, so you don't have to sit through the whole thing. And would you make a note of that?
Yes,
Okay, great.
yes.
For Becky,
One.
The select board.
select board, yeah.
Hey.
Quick question. Does
Yeah,
the
Henry.
does the historical commission need to send a formal memo about this, or you're gonna take? my
We'll
word?
forward, I think we can just forward your name.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think too many people would volunteer.
Right.
So here we are.
So Alan, before we go to the next one, can
Yeah.
I just insert, then I told Linda already, but I don't think Rita knows, and Matteo and Henry are sort of new to it. But so last meeting, I was nominated and voted in as co-chair. And then soon after, I realized that I really didn't want to do that. And so I had a conversation with Alan and said, I will do lots of things to help. So I'll be a worker bee for sure and fill in if necessary. So functionally act as sort of a number two, but I wanted to take the co-chair title out of my responsibilities and just make it more practical. So, and Alan generously agreed, being that I was committing to do the work. So is that a good reflection of our conversation, Alan?
It is a good reflection. I just want to remind you that the title means nothing. It's the work that's important.
No, point taken. I think I
You haven't
rise.
done anything at all. But yes, that's true. That's an accurate representation of our conversation.
Okay, so I'm officially resigning as co-chair and signing up for worker bee.
Yeah, right. I'm not sure which is worse. We'll have to see.
Yeah.
Any other comments on either Michael's resignation or Matteo's joining us? All right, so the next item on the menu is the discussion about the Pearson 34 acres that's up for sale. And Jeff was going to be here tonight, but he turned out he had a meeting somewhere up north, Greenfield or somewhere, Orange, and he couldn't make it. But I sent everybody except Henry. I don't think I sent you his letter, right?
No.
Okay. So here's what's happening. Wendy Pearson owns 34 acres of land along Pelham Hill Road, from Baker Road out to the town line, and it's up for sale. It's
Well, it's not actually from Baker Road, it's.
Said
that's
from Baker
parcel
Road.
over.
from Baker Road.
No.
No, there's a parcel in between.
No, there's
on
a
the corner.
parcel owned by Jeff runs from Baker
Yes,
Road. and it
that's
butts
right, but it's
Wendy's.
basically from, never mind.
Yeah.
It's basically from the corner of Baker down where Jeff's property is to the town line. And it's 34 acres and it's up for sale for 200 and, I don't remember, 275,000. And it's being advertised as being developable land. Now, one of the things that Jeff has done is he's talked to a couple of people, including the Kestrel Trust, who might be interested in putting this into some kind of a public property. It's about 2,000 feet of road frontage on there. So so one of the things that Jeff was asking was whether the CPC would be interested in helping fund, if this goes through, helping fund the acquisition of this property by the Kestrel Trust or some other similar body. So that's why we're bringing it up. Now, the interesting part about this is that there's a couple of streams that run along the bottom of the, I don't know if you ever walked along the road, but it's flat for a while and then it goes down into a kind of a gully, and down the bottom of there's a whole bunch of streams that run sort of out towards the swamp and stuff. And it's part of the watershed for Amherst. Part of it comes out to, and also it's affecting it could affect the reservoir. So the question before the committee is whether we would have any interest at all in supporting this should it happen. And I think one of the reasons Jeff is asking us is because if we help support this, it might push the Kestrel Trust in the right direction. So I'm not sure what the politics are exactly. I mean, Jeff would be, I'm sorry he's not here because he's been the one that's been talking to them. But the question I had told him I would bring before the committee is this. Would we be willing to fund in part the acquisition of this property for the Kestrel Trust or some similar organization? So that's the question in front of the committee. And we can open up for discussion.
Yeah, this is
Linda.
Linda. This is Linda. So first of all, it wouldn't be our decision to fund. It would be a town meeting decision. So,
It's our decision whether we would be willing to support it.
right?
Whether,
But
no matter what town meeting does, it's our money, and we have to decide whether we want to give it, whether we want to use it to support this project.
Well, we recommend to town meeting, right? So I just want to be clear about the process, meaning we would, we'd have to go through our formal process.
Linda, this is not a formal process right now. It's a
Well, I
discussion about
understand
whether,
that, and I understand that, Alan. I totally understand it, but I'm not going to, I'm not going to vote on something just, as a possibility. And I also know that the Conservation Commission is going to be asked to consider as well, to be part of this. And
I had no intention of bringing it up for a vote. It's
Yeah, okay.
it's a discussion among the committee to
Yeah.
see whether we in fact would support something like this eventually and be willing to actually act on it in the future if
I
this
see.
comes
Okay.
about. That's
Okay,
the only
fine.
reason for this discussion.
got it. Okay.
It's not a vote. There's no amount of money involved in terms of what we might be willing to give. I sent around how much we'd be willing to support it by. I sent around a list of, I got a report from Gail on the amount of money in our various accounts. And I sent it around to everybody, so you should have it. Right now, our open space account has something over $44,000 in it. And our undesignated account has, according to Gail, $357,000 in it. So there is a substantial amount of money that we could, if we wished, anywhere from zero to a fair amount of money used to support this endeavor. So the question I'm asking is whether anybody has any objections in principle to, in the future, supporting this with CPC funds. Yeah, Rita.
So a couple of things, first, I think that rather than, and this sort of relates back to something that Michael said a little bit earlier, what we would really be looking for is a town committee or board that has some oversight. So be it, this would fall under open space, the category that within the CPA statute. So this falls under open space. So we do have an open space committee now. So, I would say to, or I'll say to Jeff, he should go to the open space committee, first of all, to, to get their take on this.
I'm sure that's on his agenda, but that wasn't the question I said I would ask him.
No, I know, but I want to go through this first, Alan, because I think it's important to say what has to happen, just like Linda was talking about. Because I'm not going to react to something. I'm not going to say, yeah, this is a great thing until I hear from the Open Space Committee. Do they think it's something that makes sense? And that's what I believe the process should be. And if the Conservation Commission also has some input, then again, I would be looking to them. Our job is to say whether or not it's an eligible use of funds. And that's the kind of determination that we make. So we do the initial determination of eligibility, and then they submit the application and we say, yeah, this is eligible for CPA funds. And on the face of it, yeah, I'd say it's eligible. Whether or not, it's how we want to spend our open space funds, I think is going to be ultimately up to town meeting. But on the face of it, there's no reason why this should not be submitted for determination of eligibility. And again, I would just say, have those Conservation Commission and the Open Space Committee provide some guidance about, is this a priority? Is this something that they would support?
I guess I disagree with that. I mean, I think that there's perfectly within our domain to have a discussion that's independent of what we do formally as a committee. Whether the people on the committee are actually willing to consider this or not. If we're not, then we just tell Jeff that we're not interested, and we don't have to go any further.
I think I just said this is eligible, but it has to go through the process. So
certainly has to go through it. So you're agreeing that we might want to be able to do that, that we might do this.
It's not up to us.
No, I'm not saying we want to do this. I want to hear from the other groups that have oversight.
Right.
Can I jump in?
Yeah, go for it, Michael.
So I think I would pick up where Rita left off, and maybe it's saying the same thing, but a little differently. I mean, looking at our CPC plan and the criteria for open space projects, there's definitely eligibility. The question for me is prioritization. How important is it? So even though we have a lot of money in the bank, money is still a limited resource. And so there might be a project that will come up in the next year or 2 or 3 that we don't even know about. And so I guess I would agree with Rita on the process, but my takeaway is I couldn't even make it, even if I was asked to say, do you support it or not? I couldn't even make a decision without knowing about the Concom and open space saying this is important or not.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, it's not the only open space that's for sale in town either. So there's a similarly large parcel on Wendell Road. Is that something that, again, it's not just because something's for sale, do we automatically say, yeah, that's a great use for CPA money?
So let me rephrase the question then. I'd like to tell Jeff something that is positive, that would allow him to go forward with a little bit of support from. I'm a big supporter of open space. And I think the town, whenever it has the opportunity, ought to do everything it can to preserve what we have here. It's an important thing for us, and it's an important thing for this town. And I think a little bit of support saying that, yeah, we would be willing to consider this. And we would not be opposed a priori to spending money on something like this if it was eligible and if the town decided they wanted to do it. I guess that's what I'm really asking.
I guess, Alan, if you would,
What I'm hearing people saying is that you're not finding the project very, very interesting.
That
No,
is not what we
Not at
said.
all. It's it's not that at all.
That's what I'm taking away. Those three people so far have said something to the.
no, I think,
It's not that, Alan, it's, for me, it's not that. It's not that. It's what our responsibility as a CPC committee is. And that is, as we've already said, that we need to hear from the relevant boards and committees, the Conservation Commission, the Open Space Committee, and that there's a process, a determination of eligibility, and we don't know what else is going to unfold. And so it really is about the process. We can't really say we support a project or that we would be willing to recommend a project till we go through. Like Rita said, we know it'll be eligible, but there
I wasn't
has to be a
asking you to support the project. What I was asking you was whether we would consider it we would consider looking at it as a project that the CPC might be interested in.
I think it's the interested part that is the hang up.
Right.
So I
Right.
think, Alan, what I would say to Jeff is based on this conversation, noting that nothing's been submitted yet, it appears reviewing the criteria that the project's is likely to be eligible, and that we would encourage him to sort of reach out to Open Space and Concom because we need to sort of follow their lead in terms of what they're recommending, which is encouragement to say there's no impediment structurally to going forward. So I think it's just that you're saying, do we want to say that we have interest? And I think the three of us are saying we can't say that, at least at this point, because we haven't heard from the knowledgeable parties, which are the other two committees.
Agreed.
But we are saying it's likely eligible.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
I guess my one other reaction just to the proposal is, if in fact the parcel is really important for the town of Amherst watershed, it sure would be nice if they were ponying up some money rather than us buying land to protect their watershed.
If you read the thing I sent, Jeff is planning on having a review, a walkthrough. And the town of Amherst Water Group is interested and they're going to be here.
Yeah.
So there are some big players in this, and Michael.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, I think Rita just makes a good point, which is it's not contradicting what you said, Alan. It's just, a couple of years ago, 3 years ago, when we agreed to contribute to the track at the regional school, at the high school, that this is a similar kind of thing where
It's
if it
almost
is,
identical.
so it's sort of in reverse. If and I think that carries weight. If Amherst said, we're going to plunk down a lot of money because we care about preserving drinking water, and the Concom said, hey, this is important for drinking water, then, that creates prioritization that currently we don't have.
And in fact, Amherst can spend its CPA money for a project in Shutesbury. That is.
But that's irrelevant to the question I was asking, Rita. Really.
Alan, Alan, I think we're having a discussion. I don't think we have to be focused on the question alone. So just adding my,
I understand what you're saying, and I'll drop my question. Okay, so the next item on the thing was the Historical Commission, but that's all taken care of. Update on the webpage, Michael.
So I don't know if you guys visited, but I updated the website. I did one iteration and then Alan and I talked and I redid it. So it's now basically the CPC is living on 3 different pages. So there's the first page, which has the overall stuff. And then there's a link to one page that's specifically for people interested in applying. So, I basically extracted the information from the plan to make it a little bit more accessible so people didn't have to wade through that. And then the other page, which I need to complete, has a listing of the projects. So the idea was to make it more readily accessible and orient people. And it seems like the 2 things people want to know is, at first, who the hell are you and what do you do, which is the main page. And then how do I apply and what have you done so far? I think those are sort of like the 3 things. And so that was the orientation.
So has anybody had a chance?
Can I just, I'm sorry to interrupt, but because Becky had to start this meeting for us, because our usual weigh-in was being used by another group. So she made me the host, and there is someone in the waiting room that's not identified. They just say Zoom user. I don't know what to do about that.
Well, it's us. I talked to Miriam today about the select board meeting yesterday because the select
Yeah.
board didn't let people in. And she and I are discussing it. I think it's against open meeting law that, it's an open meeting, so the reality, if we get Zoom bombed, the host can knock that person out, but I think you can't keep people out who don't.
I just,
identities.
normally, everyone, either they show up as a phone number or their name, but this one just says in their little icon, if you click on participants, you'll be able to see what I'm seeing. And
I don't see
No.
anybody there,
No,
Linda.
because you're the host, so we don't see them yet.
I don't see anybody there either.
okay, so
Why don't you let them in and we'll find out who it is. And if,
okay, so I'll just need help in case.
because
there's
you can
any-
always kick them out as host.
Okay, can we just, we'll just ask them to identify themselves if.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, it's Leslie.
Leslie.
Okay.
She's been a
That was
fantastic.
a
Hi,
good
Leslie.
risk.
Leslie, you look like you're on a spaceship.
You're muted, Leslie.
I had just planned to listen, not participate. Yes, I am on a spaceship.
Okay, you came identified as Zoom user with no name, so we were a little bit.
Wondering what kind
Wondering.
of no wonder I look like I'm in a spaceship, so.
Yeah.
And I
So-
see Jeff Bezos behind you there.
Okay.
I'll go
great.
back to my anonymity.
Okay, we're happy to see you.
So I think
Okay.
Alan was asking if people had thoughts or questions about the website.
I thought it looked great.
Oh, good.
Yes, much more user-friendly. Thank you, Michael. That was great.
Yes. Thank you, Michael. Yeah, really good.
Cool.
So where do we go from here with it, Michael?
I just have to fill out the projects that we have and probably add back some pictures. So I might reach out for some pictures, but I think at this point, if people like it, then we'll just leave it and update it as, over the course of time, but there's no need to really update it once I fill in the rest of it.
Okay, so when do you think you might get
Oh,
to?
probably this week,
Okay,
the next few days.
sometime next week we all take a look.
Yeah, I mean, it won't change substantively. It's just, I mean, if you want, I think I can let's see, I pulled it up. Yeah, hold on one sec.
Can you let us know what pictures you need, Michael?
Yeah. Oh, so I'm just gonna, oh, I can't share my screen. Anyway, it's, yeah, if I, right now on the project page, I've got a picture of the Habitat House. And I got rid of the old pictures. There was a whole bunch of them.
Yeah.
But once I go through the list of, which I think, Alan, you sent me the list of all the projects. That's the thing that I need.
Yeah,
Once I get the projects in there, maybe I'll just put out an email and say, who has pictures of these things? I don't think we need a lot of pictures and definitely not all of them, but it seems like to give people a sense of the range of things that have gotten done, that would be helpful.
Okay,
Okay, so everyone, you can see that Mary Lou Conca has just joined the meeting.
I think we're just about, Henry.
Yeah, quick question. As Historical Commission rep, we do have a few projects we'd like to run by you. I guess I was wondering if it's a good idea to give the committee here some general initial description of what we're trying to do, just to see if it's fundable. And is there a procedure for that? In other words, do you want a memo saying brief description? Does this work with the commission? I realize you got stuff on the website now,
Right.
description things, but is it a routine to discuss? Normally for grants, this is possible. You discuss with the, see whether it appeals to our committee.
Yes, is the answer. And just, in the annual community preservation plan, there is, a section on each of the eligible activities. And within that, I believe we have kind of listed what some of the, say, historic sites are in Shutesbury. So it'd be great to hear from the Historical Commission if they're, again, sort of a priority, like in the next 2 or 3 years, here are things we want to work on, and, or, we might be looking for CPA money for. And then, I know with historic is one of the more complicated processes, only because you have to follow, I think it's, I want to say it's the federal department, there are standards that we have to, that have to be used. So, and typically, I know in a lot of communities, when something comes up under the historic category, they'll actually get an outside consultant in order to help make sure that whatever the project is, that it conforms with those. I think, is it the parks? Is it the Park Service?
Department of Interior.
Department of Interior. So, that's when the earlier I think we know about it, and can kind of help get that process started, the better.
So just in terms of, I'm sorry.
More complicated.
So the Department of Interior kind of lends some legitimacy to a proposal initially.
You
Whether
can
it's
read
still
about it
good enough.
when you read the plan, Henry. You'll see references to how the
Okay.
Department of Interior standards apply.
Do some homework then. Yeah.
Yeah, what I was going to say, just in terms of dates, is our next meeting's November 18th.
Mhm.
And then the forms for determinative eligibility are due on December 10th. So I think what I would suggest is, Henry, if, either you on behalf of the Historical Commission or the Historical Commission wants to send a memo, and then we can maybe put it on the agenda and give you some informal feedback on November 18th. That might be the best way to proceed.
Yeah.
Sounds like a plan.
And just, for everybody's information, there is kind of a trade association called the Community Preservation Coalition that is a huge resource.
It's linked on,
We have a link. Okay, good. I thought we did. But just for purposes of, understanding within those categories, the coalition has technical assistance. They have all kinds of, Q&A under each of the categories. It's just it's a really good resource. Beyond our plan, they're sort of the go-to people when I have any questions on CPA.
Could you
So
repeat the name of that?
yeah, it's called the Community Preservation Coalition.
Coalition. Okay.
And
Yeah.
it's, and I think Michael said it's there's a link to the coalition, and there's, you can search, like in historic, they have a fabulous database. You can look at every community and,
Yep.
and how CPA money has been used. And so, and it has the statute, it has everything there. So it's a really good place to kind of get information.
Thank you for that. Yeah.
Anything else?
Ellen, I think Mary Lou has her hand up.
I
Yes,
don't,
hi,
I don't even
I
see. it.
do. Oh. It's up in the corner. So can you all hear me? May I speak?
Yeah. Let me find-
All righty.
Oh, there you are. I got you.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Mary Lou.
So Rita, you were talking about this coalition. Are they the ones based out of Boston?
Yes.
Thank you.
that was an easy question.
Yeah. Too short. Anybody else? Any other questions? Okay, has everybody had a chance to look over the revised CPC plan, the 2022 part of the plan? And does anybody have any corrections or additions they would like to add? Any comments? Because
Thank you, Alan.
we should post it, Michael.
Yeah,
Hmm.
as soon as we vote it in, I'll post it this week.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it looks good.
Yeah, thanks,
Yeah.
Alan.
Yes, thank you.
I'll move to approve the updated 2022 CPC plan.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Farrell, I.
Take care, aye.
Scott, I.
Hanson, aye. I think that's it.
Yep.
Okay. That's all I had on the agenda. Is there anything else that we
I
need to
wanted-
discuss?
I wanted to raise an item for next meeting, potentially. I'm not a huge Nextdoor reader, although recently I've been posting. But it looks like there's some discussion afoot, which I don't know how new it is or how strong it is, but the whole discussion of repealing the CPA for the town. And it seems like since we are the CPC, we should at least have a conversation about that at some point in the meeting, so that if it actually goes forward to town meeting or something, we have discussed it. So I don't want to elevate it and give it more air than it needs to have, more oxygen than it needs to have. But on the other hand, I don't want to sort of not have us talk about it if it's actually an active conversation in town. So,
Yeah, I think that's a good observation,
Mhm.
Michael, but I had sort of thought that it was kind of, that conversation was kind of dying away. Didn't seem to be a lot of support for it, so I didn't think we ought to push on anything.
yeah, I'm fine with that. I mean, I don't want to have a meeting and then have everyone come out because it's the forum to say that the CPA is not worth it. But,
Right.
so I'm fine if there's not a lot of, support in the community for that idea. I don't think we have to take it up and formalize it, but
Well,
if
it's
there-
hard to tell.
Yeah.
I'm only basing it on the responses to the suggestions that it be repealed, which there weren't very many and they weren't very strong, I didn't think. But I don't know, did you have a different opinion?
I didn't have much of a gauge. I mean, it's sort of, yes, it came across my radar and I thought, oh, this is,
Yeah.
this is something to,
Yeah.
I don't know if Rita or Linda or,
Yes,
Mateo or
awesome.
Henry have seen it,
Well,
or Leslie.
Could somebody clarify the distinction there? CPA and CPC. I've seen them confused and
CPA is the Community Preservation Act that was passed by the state.
Okay.
CPC is what you're on.
that's it. Yeah.
Committee.
Well, and I
Right.
think also the town had to accept and adopt the CPA for the town of Shutesbury. So each town at
Right.
a town meeting or equivalent had to adopt it.
Uh-huh.
And there were two levels of adoption in terms of the percentage of the taxes that were donated to. That wound up in our, anyway.
Well,
Yeah.
that's actually a good point, Alan, because I mean, if it actually came to a discussion, the issue is the town could still retain adoption of the CPA, and there could be discussion about changing the percentage of taxation. So I don't know if people have differentiated that in terms of their objection. It's probably, I'm guessing people just thought it was a bundle. It's either a yes or no, but you're
Yeah.
making a very good point.
Yeah. So we'll have to see, I think we'll just have to see what happens if there's any real push on this. As we get closer to town meeting, we'll see.
Okay, so we just
But if
monitor
anybody
it.
hears anything, it'd be good to let the rest of the committee know. Okay. So did we? I guess that's it. Is there anything else anybody wants to talk about? Well, welcome to our two new members.
Yeah.
We hope we haven't scared you away.
Well, we're on for November 18th, and
Yeah.
we'll hear, maybe we'll hear some informal stuff about the
Yeah,
Historical Commission, and then by December 10th,
Yeah.
we should, so Mateo, if people are interested, I think the thing to tell them is they need to reach out with this it's a one-page form by December 10th. I got that correct, you guys?
Yes, and it's called a determination of eligibility. It's pretty straightforward, and it's kind of the first step in the process. So if somebody has an idea, but we do ask that if there's a board or committee that has kind of oversight in that particular area, that they're at least on board. An example is we had a few years ago somebody come forward, somebody who lives in Shutesbury who had all these ideas for what we could do with our library, and they had never spoken with the library. So, that's just kind of an extreme example of like, please don't come to us without having consulted with, if somebody has oversight over that particular building, or it's kind of their area of expertise.
yeah, and if the various committees have updates to what they believe that is important for the town, for example, if you look at the CPC report, there's a couple of sections in there from Historical Commission and so forth. That the list of things that are listed there were there from the beginning of when we wrote the first report, which was probably 10 years ago
Yeah.
or more.
Yeah. So if there's
So
an update, that would be
Oh.
great.
It could be updated. And so when you're reading it, keep an eye out for things that we should add or delete or exaggerate. So keep that in mind.
So I will make a motion to adjourn.
Second. DeChiara, aye.
Okay, I was just.
Farrell,
about to say
aye.
that. Hanson, aye.
Bye.
Okay.
All right, so we're done.
All right. Good night, everybody.
You all.
Night.
Travels, Rita.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.